What is going on, guys? Bullet here, and today we are going to be breaking down and going over my updated deck list for the Bardock deck, as well as showing you some gameplay that we had with it. Since I went to the Roanoke Regionals, and since I participated in the Egman event for the Win-A-Box event for the Manga Booster, which, by the way, thank you, Egman, for always hosting those events. I feel like that's a lot of fun and gives a lot of people opportunity to be competitive in a competitive setting when they necessarily can't even go to their regionals or something like that. Like, it's a nice opportunity. So thank you, Eggman, for that. But as I was saying, what I noticed is that Black seems to be coming out on top again. Bardock took the Eggman event, beating Kid Buu out, which is kind of crazy. Was crazy to think about. And Baby ended up winning the Roanoke regional. So I figured, as I claim to be the resident Black player of the, I guess, the YouTube space. I always claim that, but I haven't really been showing it, and that's mainly due to the fact that Black hasn't been in the best position. But now it probably is in a really good position now. So I wanted to revisit Bardock, the first Black leader that got released. And I've always loved this leader. Just being able to draw, swing for 25,000 power makes it a little awkward for your opponent. They have to give you a 10k, 2 cards, or a super. And then just being able to scry your deck is just such a strong ability. I use this guy all the time at my locals in terms of like our pre-releases and stuff, because I feel like he just allows you, he gives you setup to see the pieces that you need in a pre-release format. So yeah, we're just going to go back and we're going to revisit this guy. In terms of the deck, there's nothing really too crazy within this deck. There's nothing really crazy going on. Obviously, we're still utilizing the Double Striker, because the Double Striker is really good. Secret Rare is just fantastic. Grade 8 Baby is just fantastic. Lorio is a great turn to play, especially if your opponent has marker. And everything else here is just kind of like the standard fare, right? Now, if there's anything that is like new-ish, I guess, that you could throw in here, it's obviously Gogeta. Gogeta is a big proponent of why Black, I think, is doing really good in Buu, due to the fact that this guy just prevents the barrier Bobbity from being able to proc his ability. It prevents your opponent's battle cards from switching back to active, and like they gain blocker, but they're not inactive, so they don't really get blocker. So this card is like really, really important for Black right now. It is crazy that this card is doing as much work as it is. And this was a good card when it came out in set 6, but the problem was just that you know, it's like you don't get to see it till later in the game, so it's a matter of just kind of playing it out. And then the other card that I put in here is Pan. Pan apparently has been doing a lot of work, especially into the yellow matchup. And that's not to say that Pan was bad before, but it's just the fact that like she's seeing a lot more use now because Buu is more present than ever. And having that 4-cost Buu on board that gets turned to a blocker makes things really, really hard to have to swing big. So not only does this allow us to swing low and below that 4-cost 30k Buu, but it allows us to even remove that card just altogether. So I think this card's really good for this current format. And also, just being able to draw a card, whether you bounce something back to your opponent's hand or not, is still like a positive. So, yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Again, nothing really changed here, but it's these couple of tech options that kind of got thrown in here. But all right, let's get into the games. All right, so our first match is going to be up against Baby, obviously the mirror, the Black mirror. Baby has an opportunity here to actually kind of steamroll us. Just if they're running the Rildo package, it's very, very likely impossible for them to be able to do so. Unfortunately, I think for this guy, he was not running the Baby package. So, but yeah, I mean, name of the game, we just don't swing it. We don't swing into face as least or as least option. I can't speak. We can't swing into face as little as possible. We have to basically just take our time with this and let him awaken us without us awakening him as best as we possibly can. So, I mean, obviously this 3-cost Baby is a really good card for a lot of reasons. And he's already awakening us, so he just gave us an option. He's gonna get rid of our Chi-Chi, which kind of sucks, but you know it is what it is. We don't necessarily need the Chi-Chi on the board. We just needed her to self-awaken. Yep, so we comboed there because we knew that he was going to get a draw, and we figured that he would try to defend it. So once we got the draw off, now we can kind of be a little more aggressive into it. And he lets it go, and we kind of just let the Bardock rest. We let it rest just because we don't want our opponent swinging into it. We don't want to necessarily give another card out for it either. And obviously he chooses to pass because there's not really much that he can really play this turn. So, and so we're scrying our deck. We're just kind of letting it go and fizzle. We send out Grade A Baby, send out the Pan. Our opponent's really gonna have to like focus on our board here in order to try and remove anything that's here. We got all 3 of our super combos, which is crazy. He's going to defend, obviously. And I mean, we're sitting pretty good. He's down to 3. We're up a 4. We got 3 of our super combos. He's only got the 1. And he's only on turn 4, so he doesn't really have much in the way of board clearing. And yep, he's just going to keep freezing us down. And we just keep on swinging, we keep on swinging, we keep on swinging. Yeah, and I think he gives up on another swing here, I think, right? Like, I think he like, this board is already getting kind of crazy. It's kind of hard for Baby to do anything about this when he doesn't have his Real package, so. Yeah, but we swing for 40 and then he gives up. So it's just, we kind of steamrolled that baby. I think with the Real package, I'm not going to say that the Real package wouldn't have necessarily made too much of a difference. But he would have been able to put more swings into our board and be able to clear out our board a little bit easier, even if our life was going to be better. But even if that were the case, we had a double striker in hand. We had a double striker in hand. We had a Chi-Chi. That next turn we could have played both of those, and like it would have been really hard for him to get over that. So it was going to be a tough match here, regardless. But you know, sometimes it just is what it is. So on to the next one. Alright, so this next one we end up going up against Yellow Vegeta. Now, just because Black is doing really good into Kid Buu does not necessarily mean that we're going to be able to do good into Yellow Vegeta. Yellow Vegeta is just we know that Yellow Vegeta plays a lot of barrier cards. So, depending on what our opponent ends up playing, it could be a very neck-and-neck match the entire way through. So, yep. So it starts off really easy in the beginning. Obviously, we're going to self-awaken where we can. We're not going to utilize our marker until we absolutely have to. We need to make sure that we get the Gogeta out on turn 5 to prevent any restanding. Because for all we know, he could have been running the Bobbity package in here as well. So we don't necessarily want to leave ourselves open to that kind of thing, right? So, they're playing the one-cost Bulma package, which I thought was interesting. I don't see this. You don't see this package too often, so. Now I forget what I think we clear board here. I think we actually decided like, hey, let's use the 10 times Kamehameha and let's clear board. We got our secret rare, so we can like put a little bit of pressure into our opponent, but then we can also clear the board and just completely reset them. So, despite what I said about trying to get Gogeta out early, he hasn't played any Bobbity stuff out yet. So I didn't see the reason to necessarily play Gogeta in that moment, or to save for that Gogeta. Yeah, but obviously he's gonna. He obviously want to keep as much pressure on the board as we possibly can. And we need to try to just star out his hand. Just completely swing a face. We don't care about the Frieza on the board because obviously we can't even interact with it even if we wanted to. We can finally awaken. And we're putting some heavy, heavy pressure in. And then do I play Bardock here? I think I play Bardock, yeah. Getting a Bardock in, 2 swings, allows us to get a second super combo. And we're now really starting to, like, starve him out. Like, he's down to 7 cards in hand. And now he's got to deal with the board. There's just no... It gets really, really hard for him to go into our face. And obviously here, we're just going to protect that. If he wants to swing at our face, we'll take it. We got the hand advantage for it. It's not that big of a deal. And he gave us 2 cards there, which I think we chose to do our second Bardock, I think. And we're just pushing. We're really just pushing it, pushing him in. And I thought about playing this out, but it didn't really make sense to because we didn't have ultimate sparking for defense. So we're just swinging into our opponent and just putting as much pressure on our opponent as we could possibly put in. And he is running the bobbity stuff, so my mentality wasn't completely inaccurate. He just hasn't had an opportunity to really play it, so... And he can't double strike us, so I'm not worried about us getting double strike. Because now all we have to do is... I think we play Gogeta here. Because I couldn't guarantee that we were going to get him down to 2. Yep. So we just Gogeta here. He's only got a super combo in hand, so we're just going to swing, push him down to 2, and that sets us up for double strike next turn. So all we have to do is try to be defensive on our opponent, make sure that we don't get double striked, and because he used Blue Power Awakening, we are not scared of being double striked. So we have 2 super combos, a good number of 10Ks. We can freeze down this Yamu so he can't go all in with a swing. And he probably should have let this go, just because the extra 5K combo probably would have... I'm not saying that it would have helped, but you know, having the 10K there, and it was just over. It's like there's nothing that he could do here. 110 with Bardock, just crazy, just crazy. So we were able to clutch that out. Yeah, Bardock is still pretty solid. On to the next one. All right, so this next one we end up going up against Green Broly. Now this is a bad matchup for us. It can become very difficult for Bardock and Black in general to be able to remove a lot of the 8-cost Brolys that end up hitting the board. Our only real removal in Black is at least for this matchup, is Soul Punisher, which is very, very hard to run in most Black decks because you have to use an energy marker. You have to use an energy marker, and it's 4 energy to remove 2 bodies. And even if you get that off, like, this Broly runs an 8-cost Broly that cannot be KO'd once per turn. So you have to KO it twice. And because I think you have to select 2 different... I think with Soul Punisher, you have to select 2 completely different... 2 completely different bodies in order to KO, and you can't just choose the same one. So... there's that. The other hard removal that we have is obviously the 8-cost Gogeta. So we hold on to this with our dear life because we're gonna need it. But yeah, Broly is just able to cheat out his 8-cost so quick. So my mentality going into this match was just swing at face. Swing at face, play body, swing at face, destroy as much as you can. That's why I opted for the Glorio here, because he can't remove this Glorio until he gets... until he gets out his 8-cost set 1 Broly. As you can see, Shuddering Roar is the one that he plays, which is a cantrip. Like, I'm not scared about a cantrip. So So we have to just get as aggressive as we possibly can. I think I double Glorio here. And I think I Chi-Chi to self-awaken and then swing for 30. We got a double striker, so we're set up and ready to go for double striker. So we push him down to 2 because I want him to play the one that heals. I want him to play that down just to slow him down a little bit. And because he comboed that, I decided to super that. Because I figured he would have. I figured he would have comboed the cantrip into the Broly here. And this we just let go because there's no reason to keep that on board and protect that. So he did exactly what we wanted him to do. So now we just continue up the pressure. We can now awaken, which is going to be a 25k body. So we're gonna have to. He's gonna have to deal with a couple of 25k swings here. And obviously, the more 10Ks we can get out of his hand, the better. So, because that's like his blocker, that's his blocker Murray's. That's a lot of his 4-cost Broly's that he has to give us. And realistically, maybe I should have comboed the Para brothers on the board. Because that would have been a little bit of extra pressure and we wouldn't lose it to Ba. But, you know, these are the decisions we ended up making. So yeah, this kind of sucks. He clears our board. He can swing for double striker. So we have to protect the leader swing. We do not want to go down to 1. If he wants to swing into us, he can swing into us. But I think he made a bad decision here and chose not to swing. Because now we can just freeze him down. This is why I still incorporated the Para brothers in this deck, just due to the fact that in this matchup, we need to freeze his Broly's down. We have to slow him down to a certain extent, and Para is like our only means of being able to do that, so... And we're just going to keep trying to troll. We're going to keep drawing cards. He had to kill the champ. He had to kill the champ. So I decided to take this just to see what we end up getting. I know he can't kill us this turn. And I think we protect this too. We super combo and then 5. Yep. And I kept the Para on board because I wanted to have something to combo with on board. Because I wanted to get him down to 2. We swung with this. And thankfully, he got rid of the Chi-Lai, so we can actually remove the double striker and not be at risk of... double strike. Him being at 2 cards in hand, I didn't think that he would... I didn't think he would have the extra double striker. So... But he did have this double striker. But with so little cards in hand and us having enough combo power, I decided, nah. But he did have the other double striker. So that was a little unfortunate. But because we had Gogeta on the board, it went right into rest. So all we have to do is put enough pressure on our opponent. To get him down to 2. And then that basically decided the game for us. So this is a tough matchup. This could be a really hard matchup for us under normal circumstances. But I think we were able to kind of make it work for us in the end. Thank God. Thankfully. So, all right, on to the next one. All right, so this next one's going to be up against Janemba. Once again, yellow is not so much of a problem for black. But this one was a little hairy. This was a bit of a hairy matchup for us, just due to the fact that our opponent stalled us out pretty good. But in stalling us out, they kind of thinned us out, or thinned himself out too. So you'll just have to see what I mean here. So again, standard gameplay. We're going to play a Chi-Chi. We're going to play a Chi-Chi, awaken us. We got a couple Glorios, so we can play out a Glorio next turn for cheap. It'll be hard for our opponent to actually like interact with us without resting our Glorio down again. And I didn't want to play the Pan because I didn't necessarily want to necessarily bounce the rest Frieza back. So yep, so he's awakening himself up, but he's choosing not to swing into us. And I didn't want to swing into him next turn either, so I figured defending here to swing into the Janemba was going to be our best play. Because we want to starve his hand out, right? And we want to put the Para away since we don't have marker. So now he got him down to 6 cards. We're at 4 ourselves. So it's a little tight. It's a little tight, but he allowed himself to awaken. He loses out on his draw, on his unawakened side if he uses ability. I don't know. I don't even know what I just said there. He's going to freeze down the Glorio, which, you know, is whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And we're still at 7 energy, so I decided to go Great Ape here because we want to get one of these Janembas off the board. And once again, we just want to swing a face. Just swing a face. We want to thin out his hand. We're not awakened yet, so we're not worried at the moment of getting stalled out, especially if he's just going to keep swinging at our board. Now, that was not the right play, in my opinion. He should have gone after the Great Ape instead with the Blue Power Awakening. But I guess it makes sense because he Final Explosion, so it didn't really matter. Charge the Double Striker. Now we can awaken with the Chi-Chi. So now he has to give us cards. He lets it go. I think we can't trip here to get the draw. Yeah, we do. We do. So now we're sitting pretty good. He's at 4 cards in hand. We're at 7. We've now completely flipped the script. I don't mind going down to 3 here if it keeps our hand volume up. And now this is just where it gets a little hard for Janemba because now we can now completely shut him down with Gogeta. He can't use his leader swing to get his energy back. If he's running any of the Buu package, he can't do anything about it. And we want to keep going for the draw with the Super Saiyan 4 Goku on the board. And again, I am not worried. He's at 3 cards. We're at 6. And I don't mind taking this hit because we're going to play a second Gogeta. And that kind of just shuts him down to an extent. There's not really many ways he can kind of get around double Gogeta on the board. He would need to like secret rare Frieza into us and then swing into the Gogeta to get around it, but yep, so he Blue Power's Awakening to get around it. I figured he would play a second one, but he didn't. And I don't necessarily care about him doing this because there's no other plays he can make. And next turn, we can just double strike and go all in. So, swing at face. If he takes it, great, because then we have our options to kind of get around it. But he could only get the 40 anyway, so it didn't quite matter. So, yeah. Yeah, once again, Gogeta just goes to show. Excuse me, I'm stretching. Gogeta just goes to show that like it's the worst card against yellow, or it's the best card against yellow. It's the worst thing that yellow wants to see. So, all right, let's go on to the last one. All right, so for this last one, we're going up against Giblet. And again, I think Giblet can just play faster than us. So this could be a bad matchup. But I want you guys to see how awful our hand was in this match. TLDR, we lost. We lost this match. And not for the reason that you think. So, like, I want you guys to pay attention to how many of our dead cards we end up drawing. We're sitting at 2 dead cards in hand, right? And I want to keep the double striker just because we might have to go for double strike to win this game. And I didn't want to get rid of 10 times because there's a lot of cards in this deck that we can remove with 10 times. So we can get a lot of value with this if we can time it right. So right now we're at 3 dead cards in hand. There's 4. There's 4 dead cards in hand. I think we're running there's 5 dead cards in hand. There's 6 dead cards in hand. So we're running 15 zero combo cards in the deck, and it's a 53 card deck. So how much of that 15 cards are we going to be able to see in these first couple of turns, huh? Anybody want to comment down their guesses down in the comments below? Let me know. There's another one. That's 7. That's 7 dead cards in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Yep, block out of this one. And I think we take this one. No, we don't. We defend against that one. All right, so we have 15k combo power to our name. Now we got 25. Hey, look, another dead card. So there's 8. There's 8 dead cards in hand. When I sit here and I talk about how bad my RNG is on the sim, like I don't think people quite understand how bad it can actually be. There's 9. There's 9 dead cards in hand. I don't think people understand how bad the RNG can be on this client. It can be really, really rough. And as you can clearly see here, there's not much I can do with this hand. I have 20k combo power to my name. It just is what it is. Now I think we did, and despite the circumstances, I think we were able to do a good job of keeping our opponent's hand size down. The problem being is that he had every single one of his super combos, and we didn't even see one of ours. So, this matchup was just terrible in the sense that, our opponent was able to get all of their defensive stuff and their board stuff, and we just had dead card after dead card after dead card for our first 3 turns. Which is just, awful. There's not much we can really do about that. And we finally got our first super combo. We try to defend where we can here too, but we obviously got another 25k swing we gotta deal with. We have a chalet that we have to defend. So yep, it's just we're just trying to do our best. We're trying to clear the board where we can. And we're just hoping and praying that he doesn't have the double strike, but unfortunately he did end up having the double strike. So but we were able to pull 2 of our supers, so it was just a matter of how much combo power did he actually have. And that's another dead card in hand, which is actually helpful for us. But unfortunately, once again, he had his extra, which can get him exactly where he needs to be at this point in the game. So, yep, if he didn't have that extra card, it would have been... If he didn't have that extra card, we probably would have won that. I think we could have. I think if I did the math correctly, I think we would have had it. But just is what it is. Yeah, the RNG in the client is just really, really bad at times. Like seeing more than 50% of our dead cards in hand in the first 3 turns of the game, that's not what you want to see. So I never have that kind of luck usually. I never have that kind of luck, at least with dead cards. Like when I play IRL, like I usually have moments where like I pull stuff I don't need, not necessarily dead cards in hand, but like the client for some reason, like I always pull my dead cards in hand. I can never explain it. So, but it just is what it is. It's part of the game. So, all right, let's wrap it up. So that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Fusion World content. We are on our way to 500 subscribers. Would greatly appreciate it if you could all help us get there, especially if you enjoyed the content and you want to see more. It goes a long way. But yeah, Bardock is still really, really good. He definitely, in this current meta, is fantastic. We didn't run into any boos, which I wanted to really showcase, but we definitely had a good time with every single match that we had, except for that last one. That last one was a little, that last match was a little BS, but it just kind of is. Again, it is what it is. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys all in the next Fusion World video. Peace.